So we didn't actually get any pledge of a deeper cut today, a deeper collective cut. They basically punted that till December 4th when they're going to have their next Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting. But that said, they've all pledged greater conformity with the agreement. So Iraq has pledged to significantly reduce their reduction going into September. The Nigerians have said they will basically make adjustments as well to come into conformity. Russia has pledged to come into conformity, and Saudi keeps saying that they will monitor the situation and do more as needed. So again, no deeper cuts, but they say they will get their act together in terms of conformity.
Okay, do you believe it? Iraq has been on this go-it-alone strategy. No one talks about Iraq. We talk about Iran. Iraq could be near 5 million barrels a day because they're trying to rebuild their country after a decade of war. Do you believe Iraq? Do you believe Nigeria? Do you believe Russia?
I mean, one of the big problems facing Iraq is the production gains have also come from places like Kurdistan. And Kurdistan is not formally a part of the agreement. So you actually need an agreement from Baghdad and Kurdistan to get Iraq fully into conformity with their pledged cut. So that's going to be a challenge. What was really interesting, though, was Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, the new Saudi energy minister, basically said he's going to be taking a delegation, including the Russian Home Minister, to Iraq to monitor how they are doing. So I think it's a soft power approach that the new Saudi oil minister is bringing to bear here. But I think he's going to really try to work behind the scenes to cajole these countries to honor their commitments. UAE, which has basically been complying, has pledged to go a little bit deeper next month. So I think it's a soft power approach to try to push these countries to honor what they said they will do. It remains to be seen whether that's going to happen, but that was a promise today.
Okay, you can't see this, Helima, but we are showing video of your panel. You had really, I think, the first interview, if you want to call it that, a panel moderated at this Abu Dhabi World Energy Congress with the new Saudi energy minister, Abdulaziz bin Salman. Bin Salman, of course, refers to the fact that he is one of the sons of the king of Saudi Arabia. Obviously, a massive shakeup there. Just sort of using your gut, what was your takeaway from the panel, your read on Abdulaziz? What's he going to do? How is he going to be different than his predecessor, Khalid al-Falih?
I mean, Khalid al-Falih basically spoke about breathing fire down the necks of the producers to ensure that they would comply. Prince Abdulaziz came out today and basically said, we're going to pursue a more inclusive approach. We're going to listen to all opinions, and we're going to work together. So I think he's going to be more of a diplomat. I mean, he helped take Saudi Arabia into the WTO, but just because he's a diplomat, I think there is an iron fist under that velvet glove, because when he talked about going to visit Iraq, I think he's going to follow up with these countries and try to ensure that they reach their targets. And standing behind him is his half-brother, the Crown Prince, who had just called the Iraqi prime minister to cajole him to honor the commitment to cut. So I think this is going to be optics are going to be more diplomatic, but I think they're going to be rigorous in enforcement.
There's only been, I think, about 7 or 8 energy ministers in the official history of that position in Saudi Arabia going back 50 or so years, Helima. So they don't make changes easily. And Mr. al-Falih, as we know, was always good enough to us and CNBC to give us an interview. He was a nice guy. Was the move more sort of about him and maybe his expense accounts or whatever some of these rumors and chatter have been, or was it more about MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, trying to consolidate his power by really putting in one of his brothers into the office?
I mean, because Abdulaziz bin Salman is somebody who has spent decades in the energy sector. I mean, he is a technocrat. He knows the ins and outs of the Saudi energy sector. So he is not appointed necessarily because he's a royal and a loyalist. He is somebody who has given his heart and career to this industry. That said, there were real question marks about Khalid al-Falih's commitment to the Saudi Aramco IPO. So I think this is really about getting the team in place to really push forward this Vision 2030 agenda that Mohammed bin Salman is basically staking his legacy on.
I want to switch gears. There are some headlines crossing from the meeting where you are at. Some of the Katie McHugh and some other reporters are tweeting out literally as we speak that Venezuela's oil minister, Quevedo, is saying that now that John Bolton's gone, whether he's fired or resigned, whatever, that he hopes that some of the sanctions against Venezuela are removed. Do you think there's any chance of that? Because their production is now at about 700,000 barrels a day. It was 3.7 million 10 years ago.
I think the key thing to watch right away is what happens in October. We had an extension in August of the decision about whether U.S. companies would have to exit Venezuela, whether Chevron, Halliburton, Baker Hughes would all have to leave. There had been an expectation that basically that decision would be enforced in October and the companies would have to go. I think now there is a chance that there could be another waiver to allow U.S. companies to remain in the country.